Hello and welcome to my corner of the internet. Today I have brought you a doodle with me. I thought that I would film myself drawing when I was in the mood to draw the other day, and I thought that this type of video would be really fun to do because it's something that I often like to watch as well. So yeah, I have a couple doodles and drawings that I did when I sat down in this drawing session, and I thought that maybe some people would enjoy coming along for the ride. So this first drawing that I'm doing here is just a drawing of a lady. I often really enjoy drawing female people. And it's really interesting to see here because the sketch looks nothing like the finished doodle, and I think that that's generally how it goes for me. Usually I'm just kind of messing around, drawing whatever happens, and then eventually, if I work on it long enough, it might look okay. So most of my drawings that I'm doing today are just this pencil. I think it's like a Pentel mechanical pencil, which is honestly one of my favorite pencils in the whole world. I don't know what it is about it, but it just makes me want to draw more. It's like the way that it interacts with the paper. I honestly couldn't tell you, but it's just a really fun pencil to use while drawing. And then I will be using my Faber-Castell Polychromos colored pencils. I'd say those have been my go-to art supply at the moment. And I would say, since I'm relatively new to creating art, I've been on a little bit of a media journey because I really liked acrylics, and then I wanted to try out gouache, and then I did charcoals, and I did markers, like the alcohol-based markers, and then I kind of kept going back to colored pencils, and now I've just kind of been using colored pencils for a while, which I think is a really fun thing about art, is that you can do it in a multitude of different ways, and even in just like a traditional art sense of painting, drawing, and then it can also extend to film and music and literally anything, which is so cool to me. So here you can see that I took my kneaded eraser and I just kind of took away a lot of the graphite, and I went back in with an orange colored pencil. I find that a lot of the times in my digital art, I will draw a sketch and then I will go over it again and over the most important lines, and then I'll take away the sketch, and I'll end up really enjoying the second layer over the first layer, which is something I think I've been experimenting a lot more with lately and trying to figure out how to do implied lines and things like that, and this was the first time that I've ever done it traditionally and not digitally, and I find that it was actually really, really cool, and it happened by accident, to be honest. Like, I usually don't go about it this way, but then I don't know, I just did it, and then it ended up looking okay. I've been really working on trying to sit down and create art and enjoy the process more than the pressure of what the result is gonna look like, if that makes sense, which is something I realize a lot of people struggle with, because when you sit down and to make art, of course you want it to be cool and you want it to look good, but like I think a lot of the times people and myself forget that art is about the process and enjoying the process and letting yourself kind of submit to the creative process. And so I hope that if you are watching this and you are doodling along with me, I hope that you can remember that and just be gentle on yourself and remember that it's not about the end result. If you're having fun with it, that's the most important part. So I haven't really made a video where I'm talking this long, and I don't necessarily have much to talk about, so I looked up some questions on the internet just to give me like some guideline for this video. Kind of wanted this voiceover to be a little bit informative about myself, because I realize I do talk about myself, I guess, but not like specifics. So I guess I just wanted to say, hi, my name is Lily. I am a very, very beginner artist / YouTuber, and I live in Chicago. I am 5'3". I'm 21 years old, and my spirit animal, what would my spirit animal be? I think that I would be a fox, which I don't know if that's basic or not, but I feel like foxes are generally kind of quiet but surprising, which I feel like that's something that I've related to as I've grown older. Oh, and so this is the finished drawing, number 1, and then we're gonna move on to drawing number 2. But yeah, I guess I would say fox. Tea or coffee? I am definitely a coffee girl. I generally have a cup of coffee in the morning to start my day. What sports do you play or have you played? I played soccer growing up for majority of my life. I did travel soccer. I was on a competitive league for a long time, and then I dabbled in field hockey in high school, which was really fun. I think that's it. Oh, I did some I used to do figure skating in middle school, but I wasn't necessarily very good, I didn't really do it for very long either. Favorite book? I would say it's kind of hard to say your favorite book because the most recent book that I've read, I would say, is my favorite. But I've read so many great books along the way. But the most recent book that I read was Maybe You Should Talk to Somebody by Lori Gottlieb, who is a therapist and also a writer, and she writes a book from the perspective of a therapist, and it is such a phenomenal book. And I remember I was just kind of watching a bunch of random YouTube videos, and I stumbled across a podcast that she was guesting on, and she was talking about her book and whatever, and I was so shocked that I didn't have the thought to research her further after I finished her book, because she is a very, very interesting person, and I myself am very interested in psychology and therapy and things like that. And so then I started watching a bunch of different podcasts that she was featured on, and she mentioned that she was starting her own podcast. And I went and I looked it up, and she started it like a couple months ago, and it's called Dear Therapist. And it's a podcast where people come onto the show and kind of give them a situation that they've been struggling with, and her and another therapist will kind of go through a session with them and then check back in with them in a couple of months. And it's just a really cool podcast idea, and I just really enjoyed listening to that. And I was over at my friend's house the other day, and she was recommending me a whole bunch of other podcasts to listen to, and I'm really excited to start listening to a whole bunch of podcasts, because I'm relatively new to listening to them, I would say. I listened to My Favorite Murder religiously for a couple years now, and I adore Karen and Georgia, but I never really ventured outside of that. And now I haven't listened to them in a little bit. I'm super behind, which I feel terrible about, but I'm still really excited to listen to a bunch of new podcasts. And I also sort of want to start my own podcast with my friends, just because I feel like the conversations that we have are really interesting and funny and whatever. And I kind of wish that I was able to, it kind of feels like I am doing a podcast right now, but also with these visuals, which I find really interesting and really fun, and I really like doing that, and I can't wait to make more videos like this. But I guess I'll just go back to the art really quickly. I have been super into these sort of corset looking tops. I saw a ton of them on Pinterest, and now they're popping up all over Depop, and they're just so cool, and I thought that I'd try to draw one. The next question is, who are your favorite YouTubers? I would say that one of my favorite YouTubers are Leah Lexon, and I'm actually a patron of hers. I think that her art is really rad, and I love watching her studio vlogs and seeing Toadie and Herc, of course. I would say I love watching Apple Cheeks as well. I love Just Another Ada. I love watching Catnip and Catherine venture into creating her brand, and I think I watch more YouTube than TV, if I'm being completely honest. I just have subscribed to a whole bunch of people, so every day I just check my subscriptions and watch whatever has been published that day or that week, month, whatever. And so I have just grown such a love and admiration for a lot of these artists that are out there doing it, and it's really inspiring to see as well. And I'm sure there's so many that I'm forgetting right now, but I kind of feel like I watch them all, to be completely honest. Although Fran is a YouTube channel that I have heard so much about, and so many people love her, and I started watching some of her videos, and I just haven't gotten around to watching the rest of her videos, but she seems like a really awesome person. What is your go-to hairstyle? I would say I'm someone that doesn't put a ton of effort into my appearance anymore. I don't know if that's just with the pandemic, or if that's just kind of something I've always done, but usually I'll just wear my hair down since I currently have a mullet. So I can't do anything too crazy because it's usually crazy on its own. But if I'm working or cleaning or trying to concentrate on something, I usually just throw my hair up in a bun, and messy buns are kind of my hairstyle that I've always gone to throughout my life. My go-to fast food order, I would say, is a crunch wrap from Taco Bell, but I like substituting the meat with beans just because I feel kind of sketched out by fast food meat. So I usually will get the crunch wrap, but vegetarian. And I think that they're so good, and I really want to make my own someday because I think that I would be able to make it way better, just being honest. This little doodle here is actually going to be my newest sticker design, which actually just came in the mail today, and I can't wait to open it. I'm just waiting for me to finish this video so that I can eject my memory card from my laptop. I actually had a bit of trouble with this video because my laptop ran out of storage, and then it deleted all of my projects in iMovie, so I lost all of this video, and I was so upset, and I took a nap because I was like, I could not deal with it. And then I woke up and I asked my dad to help me, and luckily somehow he was able to get everything back. I don't know, he's like a genius. Yeah, this little house dude, I don't know what it was that I loved so much about him, but he will be a sticker coming to my Etsy store soon. The next question is PC or Mac? And I'd say this is kind of a difficult question for me because growing up I was definitely PC, and I wouldn't say I'm a gamer, but PC is kind of my console of choice, and I would play a lot of games on the computer. And I was never really like an Xbox or PlayStation person. I loved PC gaming, and I have a gaming PC that my dad and I built together probably like 4 years ago. I would say that I have really grown accustomed to using Macs because I have a Mac laptop, and it's so much easier for me to use and navigate, so I don't use my PC as much for like work things, which I really would like to change because I have a nice functional desktop, yet I'm doing all my editing and everything that's important to me on my laptop, which is kind of getting old and running slowly and freaking out and deleting all my stuff sometimes. So we'll see how I go on with that journey. My dream job as a kid, I really wanted to be a chef. I wanted to be a chef for the longest time, and I actually ended up taking a culinary arts class in college, which was a lot of fun. I definitely realized that the culinary industry is not for me whatsoever, but I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and that was a really awesome experience to have, and I made a couple friends. And I'm also, growing up, I was a really, really picky eater, and it's kind of like a running joke in the family that whenever I don't like something or don't want to try something, it's always like, oh, I could never be a chef. And now I know for certain I could never be a chef, but I have a lot of respect for people in that industry because it takes a certain kind of person and a certain kind of discipline to put yourself through what it takes to run a restaurant or be in that industry. My coffee order would be either an iced latte or just a regular coffee with hazelnut creamer. I would say that's something I learned as a kid. My mom would always use hazelnut creamer, and she still does, and that's how I started drinking my coffee, and that's how I drink it to this day. So I don't really care for anything too crazy. I just like coffee and some creamer. I wish that I was a black coffee drinker, but I'm not there yet. But I think I'm training myself a little bit. So this is the last little illustration here, my little wizard guy. I love drawing really random stuff lately, and I feel like my style has definitely been changing, and I'm really excited about it. It's really interesting to watch it evolve, and I've got a sketchbook tour coming soon as well, and you can totally see the style shift, which hopefully someone out there is excited about it. I know Jesse probably will be. That's my pen pal. Sometimes I feel like I'm making my videos for him because I would say I don't really get a lot of engagement in my videos or my art. So when I do have someone that I met through the internet, it means a lot to me, just knowing that I have someone's support out there. I know that this voiceover was a little bit sporadic and all over the place, but I hope that you enjoyed watching me draw or enjoyed the company of having someone talking while you're drawing or while you're cleaning your room, whatever you're doing. I hope that you're staying safe, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye!